Good morning. How exciting. We are out of lockdown. But even being out of lockdown means that we need to be careful about how we go about our daily business and how we care for one another. Hopefully, being out of lockdown means that I will be able to visit with you next week. But this week, we are looking at what it means to be a good neighbour, and what a good time for us to be considering this. Being in a pandemic is a real opportunity for us as Christian witnesses to show what it means to love our neighbour as ourselves, to care for others during this time. In the Gospels, Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan. He does this in response to an encounter he has in Luke chapter 10 with a young lawyer who comes up to Jesus and says to Jesus, "What do I have to do to inherit eternal life?" And Jesus has this encounter conversation where he explains to the young lawyer that he must follow the great commandments, to love God with all his heart, soul, mind and strength, and to love our neighbour as ourself. The young lawyer is a little bit cheeky and he says back to Jesus, "Well, who is my neighbour?" So Jesus tells the story of the Good Samaritan. You know the story. It goes like this. There is a man who is going about his business. He's on the road and he's stopped. He's actually beaten, robbed, and left on the side of the road to die. As he's lying there dying, a couple of people walk past him. One of them is a priest and one of them is a Levite. These so-called holy men should have known better and should have stopped to care for him. But they just walked past him. They just ignored him. And yet another man came by, a man who was a Samaritan. And as we know, the Samaritans and the Jews were very often at odds with one another. Jewish people would walk all around the area of Samaria to avoid walking through Samaria. And yet this Samaritan, he stopped and he helped the man. He cared for him, he binded up his wounds, and he took him to an inn where he paid the innkeeper to care for the man. And Jesus asks the young lawyer, "Which of these do you think was a true neighbour to this man? Was it the priest or the Levite? Or was it the Samaritan?" Jesus' parable teaches us what it looks like to love our fellow men and women. True love is sacrificial. It meets the needs of others. And in fact, the young lawyer asked the wrong question. He should have asked, "Who is my neighbour?" Because who is my neighbour? Everyone is my neighbour. Jesus taught us that we are created to love God and to love others. And so in the midst of a pandemic, even out of lockdown, especially out of lockdown, what does loving our neighbour practically look like? We must continue to obey our COVID-safe orders. They are intended for the well-being of ourselves and the others in our community, and abiding by them will mean that we are showing genuine concern for everybody in the community. It shows that we're also concerned for the economic well-being of our community, for our small businesses, for those whose businesses have been really adversely affected because they've had to shut down during the lockdown. And if we are not already, we and our families and our friends should be getting vaccinated. This is the one thing we can do that will enable all people to move freely and safely around in the community and to visit with our friends and our families. Wherever possible, we should shop locally. We should find realistic and practical ways to get together with one another. We should continue to reach out by phone, sending messages and sending emails. Of course, our parents in our community, especially working parents, are juggling working and homeschooling. If we can reach out to them, provide any support, that's a great idea too. And our non-profit organisations, we've been really stretched. We've been really stretched because we don't have the regular people coming into our churches and into the organisations, and we certainly have had a lot of demands on us for food and other support service during this time. If you can support in any way any of our non-profit organisations and church organisations, that's a real benefit as well. Through our Christian witness, especially at this time, may we be known by our love for one another. May God bless you and keep you safe. And I'm really excited that hopefully by this time next week, we will have got together again and we will share in fellowship with one another. Have a wonderful day and have a wonderful weekend. I hope you do get to see family and friends, and please take care until next time.